Hello, Central High School. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Mrs. Jones, your mental health practitioner. Today I am joined by another special guest. Today I have my daughter Bria Jones here with me. This is the oldest of my three, so happy to have her home from Chicago. I will allow Bria to elaborate a little more about why she's home.
Like my mom said, I'm back from Chicago. That's where I went to college. I went to DePaul University, where I majored in journalism and political science, and I graduated a quarter early. So DePaul's on a quarter system. There are 4 quarters. Currently, students who are still at DePaul are in their spring quarter, which goes from April until June. I graduated after a winter quarter, which goes from from January until March. So I'm back home right now, just enjoying time with my family. But like many other students, college and high school, my graduation has been canceled. It's been moved to be a virtual graduation. Or they said they're making plans for the class of 2020 to have some way to have like an in-person ceremony, but they haven't given us really good details about that. So my current ceremony, the one that I was originally going to be walking the stage in June, has at the current time it's not happening anymore.
So once we learned that information, several weeks ago, and then as I've been hearing how different colleges and high schools are handling seniors, I thought we'd dedicate this segment to the seniors, class of 2020 in general, because there is a lot of loss that is occurring with that class in particular. Because many of us, if you're a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, you get a do-over next year. You get to kind of recover some things. But for seniors, this is kind of it. And so with COVID-19, it's caused us to quarantine and not be able to carry out the things we had planned. And so I thought that as Bria and I had talked about this, the experience sort of reminds us of a grieving process. And so today I thought I would share with you the 5 stages of grief, if you're not familiar with those, as for reference. So the 5 stages of grief is by Kubler-Ross and Kessler. In case you want to Google that, that is the authors of these particular stages. Some folks talk about the 7 stages of grief, but the most common one we talk about are the 5 stages of grief. And so, and these are not in any particular order. The stages are just stages, so it's not stage 1, stage 2. They can come in any order. You may not experience all of them, and there is no time limit on as you experience these emotions. But one of the stages is denial. And so when we talk about denial, that's sort of that feeling like, I can't believe this is happening. This can't be true. I mean, as we look around our country, we're not experiencing this and, isolated. There's lots of other folks who are experiencing the same emotion, particularly seniors like we talked about. So the feeling of, is this real and can we change anything about it? There's not a lot that we can do about it. So I know that denial is an emotion that has been creeping in because you wish it was something else. Brie, is there anything you want to add about that emotion of denial? Did you experience that at all?
Not really, because of like how weird my graduation situation was. Since I was finishing school early but not walking, it kind of hasn't like hit me the way that it's hit other students who are like still taking classes but know that they're working toward not walking. So it's hit me a little bit differently.
Okay, thank you. Another common emotion that comes up as a stage of grief is anger. And anger can be experienced in a lot of ways. You can hold that for me. Hello. Okay. School.
Breaking news, Asian House schools remain closed for the rest of the year.
So we just got that breaking news. So thank you, Emmanuel, for bringing us that news. So yeah, how appropriate as we're talking about anger. So that brings up a whole nother set of emotions after talking about that. Hey Mayfield. Hey buddy.
You're not going to keep this one, I bet.
You want to be part of this video? We don't want it to run long, but this is Mayfield, who's also being safe at home with us. Down baby. Good job. So yeah, anger. Obviously, and with anger, it's okay to feel that emotion, but we want to make choices that don't hurt other people in that anger. So finding things to do like counting to 10, taking a deep breath, taking a run, punching your pillow, screaming in your pillow, not screaming at your siblings or screaming at your guardians, but finding ways to unleash that anger. And I know I talked to you and you didn't experience a lot of anger about this, or maybe a little. Want to talk about any anger emotion you might have experienced?
I just was mostly angry at my school for the way that they handled it. They announced everything before they'd even talked to professors or people, like our students at all. They just announced it. So professors were really confused, students were really confused because they weren't making themselves very clear. And I think that confusion just really fueled a lot of students' anger. Was like, you all have not talked to anybody about this, you're making this decision, you haven't informed us very well, and so that caused a lot of anger.
Yeah, and that's emotion that I've been hearing a lot about. Really, students feeling like, decisions are being made for them without any involvement. And students, please know, class of 2020, that a lot of decisions are also being made without the input of, because this is just an unprecedented time. And so decisions are being made by the leaders of our country, of our city, that we don't really have a lot of control over. So depression is another one of those stages that comes up. And depression is that just like long-term feeling of sadness and dread. Like sometimes it feels like you don't want to get up in the morning. Sometimes it feels like you just you can't get those negative thoughts out of your head. You may not feel like being bothered with anybody. You may want to feel like you just want to be isolated or retreat someplace. You may want to listen to sad music, or you just don't feel happy. And so for days like that, like we talked about, today is just a great day to be outdoors. It's sunny, it's nice, and maybe just going out for a walk, taking a deep breath, maybe calling a friend or a family member you haven't talked to in a while, maybe watching your favorite YouTube video will help ease some of that depression. But I want to say that lots of folks are experiencing that also. Thank you. Another emotion is bargaining. And so bargaining is that emotion that says, what if I only do this, then maybe we could do this. What if we could just have, this senior activity, but not that senior activity? What if we could just maybe see our friends for one more time? Maybe if we could just gather together, all those kinds of ideas that rush through your mind to try to say, if this could happen, could we change it? Is what bargaining feels like. And so I think it would be important to process those things, and that is why it's so important for us to have this YouTube channel. We listen to the students who wanted to have this channel. We want to be able to support you guys. We want to be able to be here to wrap our arms around you virtually, and provide you with some guidance and some support and some faces that feel familiar. What about you, Bria? Do you have anything that you experienced as far as bargaining?
Just like decisions, like saying things like, oh, if we would have done this wouldn't have been happening. Mm-hmm. Kind of things like being like, what could have stopped this from happening? Yeah. So just doing that a lot and just kind of accepting, well, we can't go back in time. Yeah. So we can't really change things now, but I can change the way that I react to it and the way that I handle it. And I can't change what other people do, but I can control that part.
Yeah, I understand that. And finally, there's a stage called acceptance. And acceptance, some folks never get to that, particularly when depends on what the loss is. Sometimes you're not ready to accept it, and sometimes you are ready to accept portions of it. That portion could be, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with sleeping in, but I'm not okay with, not seeing my friends. I'm okay with doing work at my own pace, through NTI, but I'm not okay with not being able to see my teachers face to face. So there's different levels of acceptance. And so what's important to keep in mind about acceptance is that we can only control so many things. We can't control the daily changing updates about the COVID numbers or the restrictions, or when, our government's going to allow for our economy to be open again. But you can control how you choose to respond to things. And so we talk about self-care. There is a video that we did on YouTube about grounding, and so you may want to look at that technique look at that video to get some techniques for grounding to make yourself feel better. Bria, what about you and acceptance? Do you have any?
Just accept that you worked really hard to get here, class of 2020. Like, no matter what anybody says, like, we did whatever we were supposed to do. And so, work at it at your own pace. No one can tell you what feelings are valid, what feelings aren't valid. Especially in a time like that's where everything's unprecedented and, like, we've never really experienced anything like this. Mm-hmm. You just have to remember that whatever you're feeling is valid, however you process it is valid. and that no matter what, no one can take the accomplishment that you finished school away from you. Like, walking across the stage, yes, that is very important. Yes, that is a symbol of that, but, like, you still did it no matter if you walk across that stage or not. You still finished school, and you should still be very proud of yourselves for that.
Yes, and yes, I agree. And on that note, Bria, I know Dad and I've told you and our family so many times how very proud we are for you to be completed such a, huge task of completing your undergrad with 2 degrees and finishing with a 3.9 early. All those things are very important. We're very proud. And on the other side of this COVID-19 crisis, we're planning to celebrate you and let you know how proud we are of you. In the same way, you should feel proud of yourselves. You are doing a huge thing, and no one else can identify with the class of 2020 who #quarantine survived this COVID-19 crisis and came out on the other side of it. We're pioneers in this, and you'll be able to tell the story. So thank you. Please take care of yourself, be kind to each other, and continue to subscribe to our channel. Bye-bye.